Hey guys, out here at the farm. That's my car. And here are greenhouses. I'm just gonna show you a little bit about how I am starting some seeds. So what we first want to do is get a small thin tray of these like 6-packs. Altogether there should be about how many is this? 3 times 2 is what, 6? Yeah, 6 packs. Anyway, and then I'm just and then you want a bottom tray that doesn't have any holes in it, because what it's gonna do in just a sec, once we put all of our soil and our seeds in here, is that we're gonna fill it up with water about halfway full, and then we're gonna put this tray in, and it's gonna gradually add water to the seeds as they grow and germinate. So here's my little setup here. So the first thing is that I got some soil, some potting soil, but really should be seed starting soil. They didn't have any seed starting soil, but something that they said that the nursery at West Turf is that they do a acid planting mix, and so it just is a good way to just jumpstart the seeds so they germinate successfully. And so you want to damp your soil, so that's why I have this purple bucket out here. I just put in a whole bunch of soil from that bag and damped it with a hose, and I just mixed it in like I was tossing a salad. And so what I'm going to do is I just grab like a handful of this damp soil, and I'm just gonna kind of spread it in. And I'm gonna have to do this a few times because I want to fill in all of my 6-packs. Okay, so I'm kind of running my hand over it to make it smooth. Okay, and you don't necessarily want it to be overflowing on the tops, and you don't want to compact it either. So we're filling it in gradually. You want to make sure that your soil isn't necessarily soaking wet where it's dripping. If it's dripping, you've wet it too much. And if we have too wet of soil, what can happen is mold. And so we don't want our seeds to get moldy. We want them to grow successfully. So you also don't want soil to get in that bottom tray, because that's where we're going to put some water, and we don't want that water to clog these little holes. So, and you see in these trays that there's like a hole in the very bottom. And so if we add water to that solid tray on the bottom, it's gonna allow that water to gradually seep through into the soil where the seeds are gonna be. And again, I'm not pressing down on this. I'm literally just moving my hand side to side. My worry about this soil, that it's not a seed starting soil, because, and I can clearly tell, even though there's like awesome nutrients and stuff in it, it's just because there's so much wood. There's like so much wood in here, which that mulchy wood and stuff, it's good for established plants, but sometimes it can be a barrier for the little seed babies that are trying to just germinate, break through the soil, you know. So sometimes I don't really get my corners very well, so that's what I'm doing right now. Just kind of filling that in. And we don't want this to be overflowing. You want to make sure that you still see the plastic on the top. And eventually you won't necessarily see that later, and that's okay. Okay, so it should be all pretty fluffed in there. What I'm gonna do now, I know I have a dirty hand, and I'm right-handed, so it's gonna be a little challenging, but I'm gonna look at my seeds. So the first thing is that you're going to see the common name, which is really big at the top. It's called stock. And then kind of the common variety name for it, or just like the variety name, is going to be vintage brown. But the scientific name is all the way on the bottom, which is Methelia incana. Anyway, this is stock, so it's a line flower, and so we're going to have a whole bunch of varieties of flowers. As you can see, I'm flooded with different types of flowers, but we're going to plant these guys. So the information for this is actually on the back. You can see one of the most beautiful and the far most unusual stock varieties we've grown, and the new Japanese introduction is a must grow. So they just kind of give you a small description, especially as the color. It's almost like a mauve-y brown. Origin is from Japan. Germination rate is 75%. So that means out of a tray like this, you know, out of 36 containers or areas, probably about I don't know, about 25 are actually going to sprout, because it's going to be 75%, and that's just average. If I have a lower percentage, that's when I know my process on actually like starting these seeds something went wrong. So I didn't put the right soil, or I added too much water or not enough water, stuff like that. So this is, again, just trial and error. I've never done these seeds, I've never used this soil, and so this is just kind of practice, but who knows, we could be successful and it could be awesome. Plant type is an annual, so it means it grows every year, every other year. It does need full sun, so that's why I want to grow it. It's because this is a summer plant, and it's currently March 4th. And so I just want to make sure that we're starting these seeds so we can transplant them into our farm, like into our ground over there, and it be successful. Okay. What I like about it is that in about 85 to 95 days, that's when it's full maturity, 6-inch spacing, so we can have a lot of it. 6 weeks before the last frost, and we're already in March, so there's no frost didn't happen, and so we're even kind of a little late, but I think it's going to be great. I think we're still going to have a long time with these flowers, and they'll be ready by the time you guys get here for school. So what I'm going to do now is, I'm just gonna tear this top, okay, open it up a little bit. I'm gonna check out the seeds. I don't know if y'all can see this super well, but we're gonna try, right? Are they big or are they small? Homeboys look a little small, right? So when they're small like this, you need at least 2 to 3 preferably, just because they're so small. The likelihood of them actually breaking through this topsoil, especially when it's so woody, is kind of a stretch. So we're also, because they're so small, we're only going to do like a 1/4 inch, and I'm just guesstimating, hole using the end of my Sharpie here. And it's just like, I'm going to do my best, try not to get to like a 1/2 inch or like a whole inch, right? And so I'm just doing a small little 1/4 inch hole, and I'm using the end of my pen because I was using my finger earlier, and like it's kind of fun at first, but then you're like, okay, my finger is getting like little splinters in it from the wood. Okay, so, and this just makes my hole a little bit more consistent, so I'm not like, oh, you know, the hole that I'm creating in this soil could be subjective and cause my roots not to, or my soil not to be successful. So this one obviously needed a little bit more, so I'm gonna add a little bit more to that. 1/4 hole, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. So I also want to pay attention that I have these 6-packs here. So here's 1 6-pack, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so I try to, especially if I run out of seeds, I want to go 1 6-pack at a time. Okay, and so the way I do this is that I'm just going to sprinkle it. It's kind of, oh, see, and they're kind of easy to see. I don't know if you can see them in there. But I want at least, because they're not as small as I thought originally, I've seen smaller, we're going to do at least 2. So I'm just going to tap, 2. Tap, 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 tap. Come on, dude. There's 1, 2. Oh, got a little bit more in there. 1, 2, 2. And you're probably wondering, like, when the heck am I going to cover these with more soil, you know? We'll do that at the end. That one got 3. 1, 2. Oop, that one got 3. And the reason why I don't want to put too many seeds in one is because they'll not only get crowded, but you want to, so they could die if they're crowded, but you also just like want to save and savor your seeds, right? Because you don't want to just plant only 4 little plants of this. You want this whole tray, all 36 pods, to grow and be successful. So you want to make sure, oops, And sometimes they get a little away from you. It's kind of hard to do this with one hand, not gonna lie. 1, 2. Oh shoot. See, and then things like that happen. You're like, what the heck? The reason why I'm not grabbing these individually, like so, is because it's really hard to grab them, right? And so I've done these 4 6-packs, okay? And so I'm gonna do another stock, and I should be able to add it. But first, I don't want to forget where I stopped, right? Like, I don't want to forget where I ended. So I'm gonna just finish the process as if this is ready to go in the germination chamber. And so I'll show you what I do next. So I just get some dry potting soil, which is just like this soil, only this soil is wet. I'm using dry, and I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit on the top like this over the 6-packs that I know I finished. Okay, and if I have a little bit extra, I'm just gonna toss it back. And now I'm just gonna make sure it's nice and flat. Knock any wood off, maybe. Like, there's clearly like a lot of wood right there. Just want to take that off. Okay, so I know I've done like from these 4 6-packs, right? So these still don't have seeds in them, which is fine because we're going to add seeds here in a sec. But just so I don't forget where I'm at, I'm now going to also add vermiculite. Vermiculite is ready to use, blending with, and it helps with moisture control, helps with nutrient control, all that. Vermiculite, okay? It's a white little, it's not quite like perlite, but it just kind of helps the seeds get started, helps them want to sprout. And so I just want to try to disperse this as evenly as possible. All of my used ones I'm putting over here in this corner so I can save it and just kind of remember how do I transplant them in the future, okay? And then also the most important thing is that I need to take a label, and I need to label exactly what's on the package, right? So I'm gonna take my lid off my Sharpie. My Sharpie has many purposes today. I'm gonna write stock, and then I'm gonna put vintage brown, because that's a little bit more individualized, okay? I'm also gonna put the day that we got them in the soil, so the day we started germinating, which is today. All right, put my lid back on. Now, I have my soil, or I got my seeds planted. I'm gonna put my label right there. And the reason why I have it kind of slanted low and not straight up is because I'm gonna put it in my germination chamber right now. And the slits are kind of low. So here we go. Here we go. I'm now walking to the greenhouse. My camera, is on top of my seed tray. I would fill this up. I'm going to fill it up, but just in the sake of time, I'm going to show you what I do in the greenhouse. So currently in the greenhouse, again, this is at Johansson High School. We got some lights, we got some fans, we got some cooler systems back there. I'll show you more about the greenhouse whenever you guys actually get to school. We got some misters, but what I really care about right now is this guy. This is our germination chamber, okay? So you can already see that I have trays in here already filled with seeds and some labels. So I got some zinnia plants, and it's called Scarlet Flame. Did this morning. Scarlet Flame means it's red, okay? I got some amaranthus, I got some chocolate lace, and now I'm gonna put in my stock. But first, I need to fill it up with water, right? So I take my little hose, and I'm just gonna sprinkle this, and then I'm gonna fill her up. Okay, so I'm just gonna push this up, see, and then I'm gonna fill in this bottom bucket or tray filled with water till it's halfway full. Okay, that's not halfway full, but it's just because I self-plant. But it's still gonna be, we want it to be halfway full. Okay, here's my stock tray. I'm then going to take it. Oh God, make sure my label doesn't fall. Let's go. Let's go, little label. Make sure your label doesn't fall. Here it is, found ya. It's very hard to do with one hand, LOL. So, here we go. And so all I would do is pick up this tray, don't wanna drop it. I'm gonna slide it in one of these slots so it can be with its friends. And what's cool about the germination chamber is that I can germinate these guys because they're gonna rely on the light from within the greenhouse. But what's cool about it is that it's hot. So I can control the temperature right here on the thermostat. Right now it's set at 80 degrees, which is what I want. I'm gonna actually put it towards more 75, and the light is on so I know it's powered on, okay? And so when I'm done putting in all my seeds, I'm actually gonna take this panel and I'm gonna cover it, and it's gonna start getting really, really humid in there. And then in about a couple weeks, we're gonna see these guys sprout, okay?